हमने चलाया ही नहीं, ये एसी ऐसे चल नहीं पा रहा है, चलाना चाहिए।
चल गया था लेकिन मैंने आगे करा तुम क्या हो कर दे स्टार्ट। आप लोग हो तो सीनियर।
मैंने कहा था ना, क्या किया तूने? आवाज तो
मैं भी So should I start? Yes. Good morning, everyone. Today I am here to present my seminar on the topic of disorders of the experience of the self, and my moderator is Dr. Kostapudlu sir. Disorders of the awareness of the self. Disorder of self are used to describe the abnormal inner experience of I-ness and my-ness that occur in psychiatric illnesses. These may occur in the patient's state of inner awareness, irrespective of any changes he may show in the attitude to or experience of the world outside himself. Characteristic of self-experience, the feeling of awareness of being or existing, that is ego vitality. In this patient says that I know that I am alive and exist, and this is fundamental to awareness of the self. Second is the feeling of awareness of the activity, that is ego activity. In this patient says that I know that I am an agent who initiates and executes my thoughts and actions. Number third is an awareness of unity, ego consistency and coherence. At any given moment, I know that I am one person. Number fourth is awareness of identity, ego identity. There is continuity in biography, physiognomy, gender, genealogical origin, etc. Patient says that I have been the same person all the time. Awareness of the boundaries of the self, ego demarcation. He says that I am distinct from other things and being and can distinguish what is myself from the outside world, and I am aware of the boundary between self and non-self. Number one is disorder of being or ego vitality. In this, the patient will say, I feel myself a corpse, dead. I have to breathe forcefully to regain the certainty that I am alive. Events which can be brought into consciousness are associated with a sense of personal possession. This I quality has been called the personalization by Jasper. Another entity is depersonalization, a change in awareness of one's own existence as the patient feels that he is no longer his normal natural self. There is a cessation of normal sensory experience of one's body, and there is inability to imagine and remember, and patient complains of inhibited feeling and an awareness of one's behavior becoming automatic. For example, patient will say, ऐसा लगता है कि मैं हूं ही नहीं, जैसे अंदर से खत्म हो चुका हूं. Components of depersonalization. There will be emotional lumping. There will be changes in the body experience, visual experience, auditory experience, tactile experience, gustatory experience, olfactory experience, and subjective experience of the memory. There will be loss of the feelings of the agency. There will be distortions in the experience of time, feelings of thought of emptiness, subjective feelings of an inability to evoke images, and heightened self-observation. What is not depersonalization? Number one is nihilistic delusion, sometimes called the delusion of personalization, are commonly seen with depression, but these are mood congruent delusions which are seen in case of severe depression. Depersonalization, on the other hand, it is not a delusion in that patient neither denies their existence nor that of the world or people around. Multiple personality disorder, that is dissociative identity disorder, is not a phenomenological description but a simple observation of manifestation of more than one personality at different point of time in a single person. Possession state is where there is temporary loss of sensation of personal identity and personal beliefs as well as acts if taken over by a spirit, deity or another person. जजन हर समय मेरे ऊपर रहता है और मुझसे बातें करता है. The possession state is where there is a temporary loss of sense of personal identity and person believes as well as acts as if taken by over a spirit, deity or another person. For example, patient will say जजन हर समय मेरे ऊपर रहता है और मुझसे बातें करता है. Another one is neglect syndrome, presenting in the inferior parietal and angular gyrus pathologies. Those share the biological experiences of the depersonalization but lack the phenomenological experience of not able to feel. Number second is the disorder of the awareness of the cell activity. Patient will say, I am directed by strange powers. I felt as if tied. Basic activities of the self in general are coordination, that is movement, volition, that is will, cognition, that is thinking, affection, emotional feeling, and perception, sensing. Moving abnormalities can be in passivity experience or delusion of control in schizophrenia. Patients suddenly find they cannot go on as if they were paralyzed. Suddenly it has all gone again. Their speech is suddenly arrested. They may have to make involuntary movements. माता मुझसे march past करवाती है. They are surprised to find their hand is led to their forehead or that they have attacked someone else, though they did not intend to do it. This is all felt as some alien, incomprehensible power at the birth. Disorder in memorizing and imaging. Number one is example is patient with depression feels he is unable to initiate the act of memory or fantasy. He may say, my memory has gone. I have no thoughts. I cannot think at all. Number second example is a schizophrenic patient feels that this activity when it occurs is not initiated by him, but from outside himself. Willing may be altered in schizophrenic patient who no longer experiences his will as being his own. Commonly, neurotic patients describe an inability to initiate activity, a feeling of powerlessness. Number third is the disorder of the singleness or ego consistency and coherence. I am in a process of dissolution. Feelings and thoughts are split apart. Autoscopy. In this strange experience, the patient sees himself, knows that it is he. It is not just a visual hallucination because kinesthetic and somatic sensations must also be present to give the subject the impression that the hallucination is he. This perception experience may involve several of the modalities of the sensation, but disturbance in the visual perception is an essential feature. There is loss of feeling of familiarity for oneself is prominent. Self is viewed quite dispassionately and objectively. Autoscopy is a complex psychosensorial hallucinatory perception of one's own body image projected into the external visual space. There are 6 types of the autoscopy. Number 1 is the feeling of the presence. The patient has a distinct feeling of physical presence of another person. There is no visual perception. Presence is felt to be at the fringe of the vision. Negative heteroscopy. There is failure to perceive one's own body in a mirror or when looked at directly. Inner heteroscopy. There is internal organs are seen in extracorporeal space as visual hallucination. Number 4 is out-of-body experience. Out-of-body experience can thus be defined as the presence of the following 3 phenomenological elements. During an out-of-body experience, people seem to be awake and feel that their self or center of awareness is located outside of the physical body and somewhat elevated. From this elevated extra-personal location, the subjects experience seeing their body and the world. Perceptions are organized in such a way as to be consistent with this elevated visuospatial perspective. Number 5 is autoscopic hallucination. People experiencing seeing a double of them in an extra personal space without the experience of leaving one's body. Experience to see the world from their habitual visuospatial perspective and experience their self or center of awareness inside their physical body. Autoscopy. It is an intermediate form between auditory hallucination and out-of-body experience. Autoscopic hallucination and out-of-body experience. Experience of seeing a double of himself in extra-personal space. However, it is difficult for the subject to decide whether he or she is disembodied or not, and whether the self is localized within the physical body or in the autoscopic body. The subject often report to see an alternating or simultaneous fashion from different visuospatial perspectives can occur in schizophrenia and epilepsy. Number 4 is the disorder of the identity. I do not know who I am. A feeling of continuity for oneself and one's role is fundamental assumption of the life, without which competent behavior cannot take place. In healthy, we have no doubts about the continuity of ourselves from our past into our present. However, schizophrenic patients sometimes deny that they have always been the same person. Fantastic paraphrenics may claim that they died under their old name and have come to life as a new person. Disorders of the boundaries of the self. Patient will say, I feel as if I have merged into the environment and people can hear what I think. One of the most fundamental of experiences is the difference between one's body and the rest of the world. This rests firmly on the fact that large and specialized part of the efferent nervous system obtain information about the body, the part known as the proprioceptive symptom, based on the link between information from the exteroceptors and proprioceptors. Boundaries of the self in the schizophrenia. In schizophrenia, there is breakdown of the boundary between self and the environment. Thought phenomena of schizophrenics is something quite different in that they talk about thoughts made by others and thought withdrawal. Patients think something and yet feel that some external force has thought it and in some way forced it on them. Alienation of action. The patient has the experience that his action is under the control of some external power. Loss of control over his thoughts, actions, or feelings. Experience them as being foreign or manufactured against his will by some foreign influence. The patient knows that his actions are not his own and may attribute this control to hypnosis or radio wave. For example, patient experiencing penile erections during the night, which he knew were produced by the night nurse influencing him with her thoughts as she sat at her desk some 20 feet away. This is known as the alienation of action. My references are Fish Clinical Psychopathology and Sim Symptoms in the Mind. Thank you. Yes, sir.
There are so many things. Start with asking. So maybe telling it out ask that will follow for
Visual is also there. And explain much better about the physical also. So you have focused on the disorder of self. Well, I think that this concept of self itself very since you've taken mostly patients
difficult for him at this stage.
but you can refer other textbooks. Definitely the concept of self is a complex subject. So
you do at least know what it is. Good chapter. That has to be that negative. Then five such understand. Presence of proper tell the difference between Autoscopy and autoscopy reading now. Is a part that I know it's a very little. Yes.
So out of body experience.
And autoscope helps.
नॉर्मल कुछ भी hallucination आप देखते हो उसको सेल्फ से रिप्लेस कर देते हैं आपको पता है मैं यहाँ पे हूँ वो जो है वो नहीं ठीक है देयर इज नो सेंस ऑफ दिस एम्बॉडीमेंट मतलब मेरा बॉडी यहीं पे है और मैं भी यहीं हूँ बट आई कैन जस्ट सी अनदर पर्सन अनदर hallucination लाइक मी ठीक है आउट ऑफ बॉडी एक्सपीरियंस ये तो बहुत कॉमन है स्पेशली आप लोग मैं होगा जिनका ऐसे एक्सीडेंट वगैरह होता है एंड यू नो जैसे those who lose life for some time क्या करते कि वापस आते हैं से मैं अपने बॉडी के ऊपर उड़ रहा और मैं देख रहा था कि मेरी बॉडी वहाँ पे वो hallucination मतलब वहाँ पे they are in that elevated state they are not in the body but in autoscopic hallucination मैं बॉडी में हूँ I am just seeing another person हाँ
They could have certain
they have this
anesthesia levels they लोगों ने general autoscopic hallucination has the character of hallucination. The main hallucination is very different. The main point is autoscopy is somewhere in between of these.
it is something मैं sure नहीं हूँ कि मैं इसमें हूँ कि मैं hallucination हूँ epilepsy बहुत मैंने भी खाली epilepsy में देखा सिर्फ दिखता है वो लोग बता नहीं पाते तो मैं इधर हूँ कि मैं उधर हूँ मैं कंफ्यूज ठीक है ना hallucination आई एम वेरी क्लियर कि मैं इधर हूँ वो hallucination मेरा बॉडी तो यही है Autoscopy में there is confusion there is a sense of disembodiment disembodiment बॉडी से अलग हो जाता है ठीक है ना and out of body experiences I am the one ovary out of body experience is also near-death experience. Yes, then after action solution.
Now, whether they have connection or not, I have really not gone into that. Whether delusion of doubles have a connection with this also. I have not really good idea of that.
तो मैंने किसी पेशेंट को देखा नहीं,
But delusion of doubles has a qualitative belief. This is just perceptual. This is a chapter which we go through very less because our clinical repertoire doesn't have so much of such examples. Our general clinical practice is very required and
That's also like in what to go in depth and what should know what is must. So earlier on there was this control there. So that was one of the things that teachers were correcting. Now that is also like impersonation is more generalized. So in that way, I think the significance of these symbols changes. Is establishing because of the inter-later variable. What I may call as one kind of hallucination. The other person may call another. We are coinciding on hallucination. So that is why it is now there to increase its reliability. Okay. Why we must know these things because subject is fluid. The fact is emerging. So 10 years from now, maybe there is a specific interventions for say out of body experiences, specific interventions for maybe you may have to differentiate. You may have intervention based because what we are studying here, basically what we are studying is that there is something wrong in the brain. We say that some areas and some things are recurring. Some symptoms, some special symptoms are recurring. They're happening again and again. So that means these similar things are happening in brain somewhere. Some disorder is there. Right? We don't know exactly what the pathology is, but we can see recurring phenomena. We are studying those consultations. Okay, and we're hoping that we are not able to directly study in the brain where it is wrong because there is a structural abnormality on the imaging, etc. But since these phenomena are occurring, so we are saying that there is some disorder out there, okay, which we are indirectly observing. Right? Now, with advancement, maybe some of these things will merge. Like similar, one problem is leading to so many symptoms. Right? For example, earlier when we did not have so much investigation, jaundice was jaundice. Like we did not know that there was direct, indirect, obstructive, hemolytic, etc. But jaundice was there. So they described the clinical things. Like in certain cases there is itching, in certain cases the stool color is like this, etc. But later on we came to identify those disorders. Now we have management for it. Now we don't clinically try to differentiate. Earlier history में तो बहुत था. पीलिया है तो stool color कैसा है? वो सब चीजें. Right? So that is the basic. You should know these things. That these are different phenomena, although similar sounding. But second thing is that these things are described by different people. So they have not been, you can say, one person. Yes. Because anatomy is not there. So what is happening is that the same thing will be described differently by two people. So there is no advancement in that. The fish which my professors have read, we are also reading. So with time there should be refinement in the phenomenology, there should be refinement in the definitions. That is not there. So the main thing is that the correlation between biological and these things is not happening. Okay. One, these is the vocabulary that we must know as a practice to communicate to those people.
This these are very unknown type of people that we study efficiency. Like I was telling the IRC.
Yes. Practically how much it is.
But in the exams, the questions took out. Even I had executes regarding the 10 or 15 executes. But again,
There are many things that we studied undergraduate. Physically, they are not studied. So that symptomatic of the right is nowhere.
those are both the people that go
Like I don't know how that answer came to me. I tried to study like this, right? Again, the result tried to study like there's no literature on that and then like it is mostly common depression, psychotic symptoms. Mostly it is like either medium or any antipsychotic.
So I think this is very you told me about this. My second year. I also didn't know. That is a solution there.
Like Primozyte was there available for basically this. They're very high people. I've seen patients. Mostly see it like high patients. So, but if you don't know that they will find it because in the text it's there. In the MCQs it is. I didn't find it in there. So MCQs
They will tell that for this they
see.
Here, don't read from there, understand and spread.
take some time.
Yes.
The lines.
A nice presentation. Like it was a complex topic. Try to like read up from other places also, specifically the concept perception. Or other which has a comprehensive, let's say it's almost like a dictionary. You can find almost everything there. But, psychology, the concept of self, disorder of self. So it takes a time to understand.
Search मांगे, Google Scholar या PubMed पे तो सर ये सीखो ना आर्टिकल ये रिपोर्ट्स है तो वो पढ़ के ना चीजें बहुत क्लियर होती है तो मैंने एक स्पेसिफिक फिनोमेना को इससे
और वो लोग टेक्निकल भी दिखाते हैं मतलब समझ आता है फिजिकली एकदम ऐसा नहीं होता थोड़ा सा कुछ अलग होता भी है हाँ और उन लोगों ने रिपोर्ट किया है चलो हाँ ऐसा भी हो सकता है
यही सबसे
हाँ 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 बिल्कुल
ये तो थोड़ा बोरिंग हो जाता है बट दैट इज
सिविल से उन्हें पता था ट्रीट डिवाइस सिंड्रोम है तो वो मतलब आई थिंक फीमेल्स में बहुत रेयर है फीमेल्स में आई थिंक मुझे याद है मतलब गलत नहीं है फीमेल में कभी किसी को ट्रीट डिवाइस सिंड्रोम हो तो रिपोर्ट कर सकते हैं पूरे वर्ल्ड में से 17 लोग मिले हैं तो then add to the literature
really it's the break. एक फीमेल थी so I strongly suspected that she was you can go so that it's from differential of
okay
because it follow up